Coming up in this episode of the KickCast, KickStarter gets hacked, a mini museum for your desk, and the podcast movement is in full swing. So sit back and relax. It's time for the KickCast. Hey everybody, it is time for another episode of the KickCast, and joining me, as always, is the one, the only, and video game PlayStation expert now, Drew.
Right.
How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm not bad. I became a PlayStation expert overnight.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about, is on Ktdata.net, we're actually getting a brand new podcast, and I'm not in it, which is
Right?
yeah, which is a shock.
Really?
But yeah, Drew and two of his students slash friends are doing a podcast about PlayStation, and
Trying my best to keep up with them. They play games all the time. I raise kids.
yeah, I took a little listen to it. It sounds good, so it should be coming out fairly soon. We're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's on everything. So if you guys have never seen the KickCast before, first of all, welcome to the show. What Drew and I do is pretty much go out there, find some cool crowdfunding projects, bring them back, and tell you if you should back, track, or sack them.
Easy enough.
Yep. So before we jump into the projects, let's cover some news, and it's actually really, really important news for anyone who's visited Kickstarter or has an account on there.
Which is probably going to be just about everyone that's listening to
Yeah.
the show. So
And tell
news.
all your friends too. So they Kickstarter posted a blog post on Saturday afternoon, and they were talking about that on Wednesday, February 12th, law enforcement officials contacted Kickstarter to let them know that hackers had gained unauthorized access to customer data. Dun dun dun. So that's
only a matter of time, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they've been hitting everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty much the internet right there. You know, it's eventually, but it just depends on. Luckily, no credit card data was taken. That's always good because in the U.S., Amazon takes care of all that right there. And what they got were, pretty much the basics that they have on the site. Because if you look, Kickstarter doesn't ask for too much information from you. So they got your email, possibly your phone number, and your hashed passwords. So they don't have the direct passwords, but they have the encrypted passwords right there. So it is strongly, strongly, strongly recommended you go to Kickstarter right now, even if you're listening to the show.
Wait.
Just hit pause and go reset your password right now. It's under settings. It should be really quick. It's really, really important in there. And if you've used this password anywhere else on the internet, I highly suggest you go change it. I tell people this, use a password manager. My recommendations are LastPass and OnePass. Those are awesome. They can do cool things like generate random characters for it. Like I don't even know the passwords to half my websites because I use the random generator to generate password for every single site on there.
It's handy. It's handy.
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
and do that. They said only 2 accounts really got compromised, and they've already talked to those people on there. So, and they were pretty transparent about it. They fixed the security flaw where the hackers got in, so hopefully it won't happen again. And it's just one of those things when you're living in this age of the internet that it's not if it's going to happen, it's going to be when.
Men.
But yeah,
Inspiring men. Yeah, so that's good. I saw a little guff from some people like, wait, this happened on Wednesday and you're just telling us about it on Friday or Saturday. And, anybody that follows these types of things as I do, it just seems, I don't know. The easy answer is, of course, you're not going to sprout out there the day that it happens and then tell everybody, even the next day, and be like, hey, everybody, we got hacked. You're not going to let people know until you fix that hole.
yeah.
So that's what they did right away.
Look, there's an open vulnerability. Everybody else, just go at it.
You patch the hole, and as soon as that's secured, then you say, hey, everybody, this is what happened. Those that were affected the most got contacted first. You all just need the safety precaution. Yeah. So they did it just right. They really did it just right.
Yeah, I feel bad for their support team, too, because it was a Saturday, and I think the next 24 hours, they ended up answering 500 emails on there. So
easily.
So, kudos to Kickstarter for, trying their best to keep our security in mind on there. So tell all your friends if they've ever visited Kickstarter, just go tell them to go change their password or relog in using their Facebook thing, and that should reset everything. So stay safe. All right, Drew. Here's our next news item.
Big news item. We found
another
nice piece.
Yeah, it's another crowdfunding site, but specifically for clothes.
We found if you go back through our episodes, we find these niche crowdfunding sites popping up. We'll probably continue to see them. I mean, we found all kinds. So this one is Beta Brand. It's a crowdfunding site for clothes. If you look through their site, betabrand.com, you'll see that there's kind of the process of things is that they have a whole section called a think tank where they have several items and it's all clothes and it's all funky clothes like the All American Super Sucker blazer. It's a good looking piece of clothing there. Some
Don't
of my
ask me, man. I know zero about fashion.
these are hardcore. One that's in the think tank right now I love is called the Vagisoft Harka, and it is a robe structured much like an overcoat, except for it has a hood and fingerless gloves. You zip that thing all the way up to the top. You can pop your hands right through the fingerless gloves, so your palms are all covered. You look like a mage. But if you look at like some of the comments, they have a softer meter, and it has this like scale of like the baby's bottom up to the pouch of a cloud kangaroo, and then Vagisoft is just shy of the womb of a marshmallow mermaid. Right? It's just
Okay.
can I even say that? Anyway, it's just I love the flavor. I love the style that these guys put into it, and essentially, it's crowd funded, crowd designed, and I'm sure. I mean, they're a co-op, so they have professional people that are doing a lot of the help with the design. So you put in your ideas and your directions, and then they create the product, and then you crowdfund it. And for instance, the Vagisoft Harka is 67% to its goal, and they do 10 at a certain price, 20 at another price, and then the last 20. So you basically have to sell 50 of something before it gets put into the actual store part. And then there's a whole marketplace. The reason why this caught my eye, by the way, and I love the whole idea. I love crowdfunding on niche things. These are some pretty stylized, like one-off type of items. You're not going to find any of these items like
At a Target.
at a Target, right? Or you're not going to show up at school and everybody's going to be wearing the same thing. These are amazing. So one that's gotten a little bit of press and coverage and excitement is the dress pant sweatpants. That this is what my wife found. My sweet wife. She's probably going to make me buy her a pair. I might get a pair myself, but they look like dress pants, so you could wear them with your shirt and tie, but yet they're sweatpants. They're designed and cut like a dress pant. So instead of coming home from work and loosening up the belt and slipping into something more comfortable,
You're
you're
already in.
comfortable all day, right? So I highly recommend you check out the dress pant, sweatpant. Pricey stuff, yes, but you're not going to find this anywhere else. So it's almost worth jumping into. One other thing before I jump off of the Beta brand, which I love, they also have in their project something called sock insurance. Let me see if I can,
What? Sock and
they did a whole series. Somebody I can't remember if yeah who from the group did it, but basically somebody said let's do sock insurance, and they have some really cool socks. And if you ever lose one of your socks, you send them an email and say you'll have to hold up a picture of the remaining sock and put some certain subject line that says I'm missing a sock, and they will ship you back a replacement sock. Sock
that's
insurance.
interesting.
Yep.
That's
There's a Reddit one that's got the Reddit guys on it and the Reddit up down arrows. There's Socks of Catan. There's Meta Socks, Midnight Socks. There's one that I love that has a little symbol or saying on the side that says "Test socks, please ignore." Cute little things. So anyway, um, I just love the flavor. I think, and me styles everything. Although I don't have it, I like to pretend. So Beta brand, check it out. It's crowdfunding for clothes.
that's a genius idea on there. And what's surprising is that you find all these project crowdfunding projects and stuff. You run into the issue. All right, how am I gonna deal with this mayhem for fulfilling, different tiers and pledges on there? And I can't believe
All
we we
straight.
we have not covered this site before, but it's BackerKit. And the reason I'm like, wait, we haven't covered BackerKit yet is because I've filled out probably 2 or 3 BackerKit surveys this week alone.
It's almost like it's gone mainstream at least for us because it's
Yeah.
familiar. Like, oh yeah, that's the thing. And for that one Kickstarter that I assisted with a couple of months ago, I wish they because I didn't manage the campaign, but I wish they would have known about BackerKit. They ended up sending out individual emails to backers instead of even using the in-house like the Kickstarter survey mechanism or BackerKit. They just sent out emails and said, "Please respond with your choices." So it was like extra work for us when we could have had BackerKit.
Yeah. So I'll explain what BackerKit is for some of you guys. Some of you guys have actually may have seen it before because it's super popular. So what BackerKit does essentially is export all the people who've pledged, the amounts they pledged, their contact information into the BackerKit system, so the creator can send out surveys to people. And what's nice about BackerKit is, especially if you have kind of like products and stuff, you can do add-ons on there. So it knows you've already bid $10 or something, but you also want this under add-on that was added at the last second that you couldn't go back and change your pledge for. You can actually go, oh, I want that other add-on, that like $5 add-on right there, and here's my credit card information. You take that info right there, send it to the creator so I can get that too, and brings it all together. Another nice thing about it is shipping addresses. That has always been the bane with some of these projects. It's because they finish, and then maybe six months to a year later is when the project actually is going to ship, and people have moved and stuff. BackerKit lets you go back in, go change your address and stuff until the selected cutoff date for the project and stuff. So that makes it so much easier. And as a person who fulfills things, you can keep track. Oh, have I got this person's package, or maybe I'll only send them half right now because we still got to wait for another batch, but I don't want them to wait. So I'll send you half now, and then I'll send the rest to you. Or you have issues. They also deal with tech support. So if they have problems with the site or something, the BackerKit company will take care of it. And I think it's awesome. It even has APIs for fulfillment services that I didn't even know existed because I don't do any kind of internal shipping or stuff. But
We're digital folks.
yeah, so you can contact all those people, and it works almost seamlessly. So it's just a great idea if you're especially if you're doing a physical good product for crowdfunding. BackerKit is definitely something that you should check out and make sure. I mean, it's not that bad. I think it's maybe they have different tier levels, and they even have intro pricing right now. So if you're kind of interested in checking that out, and trust me, it will save you a lot of headache.
Yeah, I've dreamed of, again. You and I've talked about doing Kickstarters ourselves together, or for this show, or for other things. But doing the 3D printing stuff, I've just thought and brainstormed tons of ideas, and I would definitely do BackerKit as the way to fulfill any type of item or thing that I put together. So yes,
Yeah,
can't believe we haven't covered it.
yeah, I can't believe we haven't either. And thinking back now, I think one of the earliest projects I backed, BackerKit wasn't out, or I didn't know about it, and people didn't know about it. They wrote their own pledge manager to do this kind of stuff. Imagine how much extra work you had to do for that. So,
Yeah, amazing.
all right, so speaking of projects, how about we just jump into our first
Let's do
project
some.
of the night? So, Drew, I know you have kids,
I do.
and how often do you
I
manage?
could never forget it.
How often do you ever manage to get your kids to like museums or anything?
Oh, are you kidding? I wouldn't. I wouldn't even dare think of taking my child's to a museum. Not at this age. They're just way too crazy.
Yeah.
We'll go to Discovery Museum, places where they're actually allowed to touch things and get their hands on things. But no, not for another 5 years or more.
Yeah, so Mini Museum right here. This is a really, really interesting thing. It is actually a handcrafted collection of different specimens that are encased in resin. And depending on the size of the actual mini museum you get, you can get up to 33 different things on there. They have cool specimens that go from supposedly the oldest matter ever collected. So it's 4.5 billion. That's billion with a B years old. You can get, Corinthian leather because that was, the high times of the 70s, I think, right? Putting
Right.
Corinthian leather and everything to getting the heat shielding, the actual gold heat shielding off the Apollo 11 command module. So that
Wow.
heat shielding has
Wow.
gone into space, landed on the moon, and come back. And this guy actually bought it from, I think, Buzz Aldrin personally. Back in the year. Yeah, they have 3 different sizes. So there's a small that gives you 11 specimens, a medium that gives you 22 specimens, and a large that gives you 33 specimens. And this guy handcrafts and makes all of these by himself.
Good looking.
And it looks great.
Yeah. That's just sexy. That's just, I mean, just like the perfect little thing to sit next to your desktop as a little talker item or something. I think that just says I'm chic, I'm cool, I'm smart, and I have some really cool tiny things.
Yeah, and it goes through through history itself. I mean, you can. I think one of them's like you can get a piece of a human skull, or a meteor that apparently killed a cow when it crashed onto Earth. It like almost ripped the cow in half. And
Brilliant.
apparently the story was like it hit a cow in half, and the farmer's like, well, it's bound to happen sooner or later, right? And he used it as a doorstop
Wow.
until the scientists went and found the story, heard about the story, and went and bought it from him.
Wow.
So it has these kind of cool things. I love it. It has history. You can go back and like when your kids get older, you can just show them, and they'll be like, "What is that?" And then they'll be like, "What's Apollo 11?" It's like, well, that white thing in the sky at night? We've been there.
It's been there. It's right here. You're holding a piece of it.
Yeah. And I just it looks great. It's a good talking piece. And I love the stories behind it. Like this guy named Hans, and by the way, he has an amazing epic beard in this video. And I'm kind of sad when I saw like there's a scene that cuts to him and he has no beard. I'm like, the
Oh.
beard was awesome.
Oh.
So hopefully he'll get the beard back because that he has all these stories that's going to be included with it. And I just love it. And as I can't say I'm a history geek, but I appreciate just things from the past and
Yeah.
stuff. And but like that's been there like 4 million times longer than I have been alive. What now?
Awesome. And I love just the business sense behind this. So it's like I've collected these really cool things, and I could sell each of them off and do little investments. Yeah, I have this, and now I sell it. But to piece them out and make a mini museum, what a way to share that cool thing and still finance it and fund it. And I think the presentation's amazing on that.
Yeah. This one's back for me. What about you, Drew?
I definitely back. I think this would be something I grab the small 11 specimens.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Keep that next to my desk away from my kids. Well, I guess I could let the kids touch this.
And yeah, I love it because he's making all these by hand, so that's a lot of work right there. And not that's not counting the work getting the specimens.
Right, right.
Because I mean, who can just walk around saying, "Hey, I've met Buzz Aldrin"?
I bought his foil.
Yeah. So that is the mini museum. So on to our next project, the emojis.
Hello, welcome to Mojis. So Mojis is a kind of play the world. It's this idea that
I'm Bruno Zamberlin. I'm a computer music researcher.
play
And for all my
anything.
life, I've been working on new ways to make music using new technologies.
It feels very unique. It's a mobile app and a little sensor.
This is Mojis.
Sensor detects and
About
analyzes
2 years ago,
vibrations with
my colleagues and I
interact
had
with
this
different
idea
kind of things.
about
And
transforming
it has a
everyday
special
objects
sound
around
technique
us
that alters
into
the
unique
properties
musical
whenever
instruments.
It's on, so it sounds different on different types of objects. And then if you watch the video, you actually can hear some of the sounds that it can make, and it's
Today, I want to introduce you to Mojis, a mobile app and a special contact microphone designed specifically
to this sensor, so it connects to your phone, and then you put this vibration sensor on anything. I mean, the video they've got it on cars, radiators. What else did they show it on?
Windows, desks. For some reason, this guy has one of those steel I-beams.
An yes, I see the IP, balloons.
A helmet. That was weird.
So it's really cool, but basically what you get is with this app and this sensor is the ability to turn anything into music. So you can touch anything anywhere, and those vibrations are different, based on where that sensor is, and you can anytime, any place, any object, turn it into a music maker.
Yeah, and it's cooler than some of the other things you've seen. And I guess they had a TED Talk about doing this, and they put it on bike spokes, they put it on everything, and they just want to figure out of a cool way of being able to kind of do all that. I think it's a neat idea on there. It's they have two different modes. They have a song mode, so you can kind of put your favorite song on there, and as you hit things and you change it, it will still play the song, but it will kind of pitch modulate it as you're playing it on there. Or they have kind of this creator mode where you can just go at it and make your own song out of there. So I think both of those are cool ideas right there, and especially if you're the creative type, this is definitely something that you want to check out.
Yeah, I think it could be really a really unique way to make your mark in
And yeah, I love it. And for me, I have to say it's track on there, just because I can see me getting it and playing it with twice, and then it's sitting on a shelf.
And at that rate too, I think even to get one, I think you're almost $70 or $80.
Mm-hmm.
So well, granted, for that reward, but to support the project, I would back this. Probably not high enough to get one, but I love the idea and I love what they're doing with it. So I'd back it to get on their mailing list.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. So that is the emojis, and sorry for everybody when I accidentally played the movie. There.
Oh, you did? You
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Should have told everybody. I want to play it now. Okay.
Okay. All right. So our last project of the night was actually sent in by a listener, Dan Franks. Thank you, Dan. You're way cool. And this is actually his project on here. And this is something. Oh, so disclaimer: this might get a little bit of inside baseball for some of you guys out there. But this is he's actually running a project for a convention that he's going to run in August called the Podcast Movement 2014. And it's it's a conference for podcasters, and I love it. It's designed for both new podcasters and old hats at it. And I love the idea of it. There's 2 tracks. There's the beginner's track that will teach you from just, even if you're like, hey, I have this idea for a podcast. I don't know why you would want to do I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I think it's a great idea. And so this is why I want to do a podcast on it. To, hey, okay, I got the idea. I've kind of scheduled it out for an episode and everything. How in the world do I deal with these microphones and these, doodads and whatnots and, what's an XLR cable? How do I record this?
Yes.
All those mystery things that me looking back are like, yeah, it was a kind of learning experience on there. To even like, how can you make your beginning podcast stand out of others? Because there are a ton of podcasts out there. I know by experience, trying to get the word out about shows is kind of hard sometimes. So, they're going to get experts there. So that's the beginner's track. They also have an advanced track, and it's designed. This is the track that I'm super interested about, is how to take your show to the next level. So you've gotten through the basics, you've gotten everything. How are you going to take, just go one up your show, make it that much better, get more people in. In my case was getting Drew as a co-host. Amazing one up right there. I don't know how I'm going to do that.
That's what we'll do. We'll do an entire session and we'll just teach it. And it'll be like, what you need, everybody, is a Drew.
Yeah. See, done. Simple as that. They show some of the more like unique setups. I mean, I got to say, I have a kind of unique setup on how I have this thing. So I'd love to see how other people have these things set up. And then, they have professionals there who've done it and can tell you, hey, this is, you want to take it up to the next level. This is how you get your show known out there, get more people listening, get everything. I love this idea. Plus, how much do you think a conference like this is going to cost?
And this is the thing I was going to bring up. If you go to something like the New Media Expo or there's Blogger Expo that they do in Vegas, I think it's in January. It's crazy. It's like $700 to get to 2 days.
So I actually looked this up, and it's actually $300 for the hall pass. So you only get to go to the big keynotes, and you get to go walk through the halls. That's $300. If you want the whole kit and caboodle, $1,300 to be able to get into all the to get into all the talks and hear all the people and stuff. And the problem with New Media Expo is it's not just for it's not just for podcasters, it's for bloggers, it's for everything on there. So
and they have podcasting tracks, they have specifics, but it's almost too large to really get some like hands-on or even like specific answers. It looks like this podcast movement is going to keep it handy enough that you can go and really get some details, good info.
And part of going to these conferences is to network and meet people. You know, with New Media Expo, you're talking to different people, and it's kind of hard to get all congregated there. And the biggest problem that for me for New Media Expo, they decide to do it right before CES.
Yeah.
And CES is like the convention I love to cover. So it's like, do I go to CES or do I try to pay $1,300 to go to this?
And I tried to get, because being the educator that I am, I tried to get a lot of students together to see if I could get a bunch of people, a bunch of students, we have a little bit of travel budget, take them out. This would be a perfect place to teach, learn things. And then I looked up how much each ticket to the conference was, and I was like,
do we
I
get
can't.
new equipment or do we
Right.
get a conference?
Or we go learn to. Where does this podcast move? I'm seriously considering taking a small cohort of my Studio 76 staffers down to learn podcasting.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn, and to put them all in a place where they, as college kids, can network and learn these things early on. It's brilliant. So I'm in.
And like the ticket prices, if you guys are wondering, it starts if you're lucky and the early bird is still there, it's $79 to $129. Totally reasonable for a convention. I think the 129 was actually for a party that they're pulling off. I think it's $99 for just the conference itself. That's not bad. 2 days. You get 2 days of hands-on things, and some on these names of the people on there. Some of them if you literally try to search for the basics of podcasting, their names pop up. It's not like just some random guys that they found. It's these guys know what they're doing. They've been doing it for almost a decade now, and so they have really good information. I'm kind of excited for it, and I love that they have a online only price. So right now I'm backed at that level. So if I can't make it out there, at least I can get the videotaped versions of these and learn remotely from that. I don't get the networking, but I still think it's worth it.
Well, if I take a crew of students out with me, you'll have to come with us.
Yes, I think I will on there. And so the trick is, though, since podcasting has gotten so big, they actually funded their goal within 8 hours.
Wow.
On there. So within 24 hours, they were way beyond their goal. So now the question is, Drew, with 24 days to go, what do you think they should do to keep the momentum going? Keep people interested, keep having people pledge, because the more money they can get, the better they can make the conference, or they can even save it up for the next year's conference and make that even bigger and better.
Right, and spread the information around so we all get better podcasts. So what do they do to keep the momentum? I mean, looking at it now, they've got 116 backers, and so I think one thing that they do is obviously these backers are interested in learning about podcasting, which means that a good number of them either probably have an audience or are trying to gain their own audience. So I think one thing is that they need to call upon all the backers to continue to, to share, hey, I'm going to this, or I'm trying to get to this. If you love podcasting as much as I do, support me or come yourself. So I think one thing is just tap the backers.
Yeah, because I'm doing my part right here, telling people about it. And the other thing that I would, I kind of see them doing is, of course, you can always have stretch goals. That's kind of the surefire way to do it. But what I think is, actually one of the stretch goals I was thinking of is you have all these great podcast minds. You could actually add a tier where people could have one-on-one sessions with some of these people, or like a Google Hangout with a couple of them on there, and just have a great brainstorming question where they can pick the minds of these people and stuff. I could see, I could see people backing that, because they had this exclusive dinner party and stuff. Those are the first tickets to sell out.
Yeah, I was gonna say this didn't last long.
On there. So I think if they could do that, something like that, or even if they don't want to kind of do stretch goals or anything, they could keep updating. There's 24 days, so maybe updating once or twice a week with bios of some of these people, because I recognize some of these names, but some of these names I have no idea.
I would do it. Bios of everybody, just to say we've got this person.
Yeah, and this person has this much experience. They're going to be doing a panel. You got to be there. It is one of those panels that you cannot miss and stuff on there. So you kind of get people excited about that and looking for those, and that causes people to tell more friends, and they're like, oh, I know Joe probably would like about how to monetize podcasts and stuff. I should tell him to come too. And Joe sees them oh, this is a great idea, and then he sees another speaker oh, that's another great idea. I bet Tim would want to go to that, and get more people backing that way, and just kind of growing. Even regular updates. Go take a quick tour of the hall, give people kind of walk through so they kind of have an idea on what's gonna happen when they go, because I've never heard of this town, but I hear it's near Dallas. So then again, I don't know most places outside of Utah, and sometimes in Utah.
We gotta get out. I was gonna say they don't have the one. I mean, a lot of their higher end pledges tiers are gone, but the one that's still there is that $5,000 platinum sponsorship. So it's a sole naming right for the building that's housing the product demonstrations. Lots of benefits for all the other levels. So I'm curious to see who's going to take That 5,000. You want to do that, KT? You want to throw down?
You know, if I had $5,000 laying around, I would have done it already. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that one will be interesting to see who takes that. But I'm looking at upcoming grant requests and funding for travel and things. So I'm looking into other academic pockets to see how I might be able to get myself and others there. This is an awesome movement.
Yeah. Do I even have to ask? Is it a back for you?
It's a back for me.
Like,
I'm in. Like you, I think I'm going to go with that online version as for now, and then basically tap some resources, hopefully within this 23 days, to see if I can't get something a little bit more, actually out of you, get there. So
yeah,
I'm all for it.
I mean, I love this, and I'm excited to go and learn because it's all about sharing. People think that you hate your competition, but it's more like we're all big bunch of friendly people and with hugs and whatnot.
Yeah. No, I think you've done enough great podcasting and have a lot that you've learned that you could easily do one of those sessions and talk about the podcasting. One of the steps up is for you go from audio podcast to adding a video element, and you've like tripled and doubled. You've blown that out of the water with multicam, live streaming with graphics, and you've done it with the one man show, and so there's plenty of podcasts out there that could benefit from that. There are a lot of I've actually listened to a lot of podcasts that are audio podcasts that would just be so great if they were video too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of visual to it that we're not getting to see. So I think you should have a panel as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the podcast movement again. Dan, thank you for telling us about this, because I heard people saying, oh, people are trying to put together a convention, and then you sent me this email. I'm like, holy crap, this is what I've been hearing through the grapevine. I'm all in.
It's real.
All right, Drew. Sad enough. That was our last project of the night.
We raced through them too fast.
I don't know where the time goes on there. So if you guys are like Dan and have a project, or even just see a project that you want us to feature, please let Drew and I know. You can send us an email at kickcast@ktdata.net. On there, we read all of them, and I'm usually quick at answering those emails. Or you can just leave us a comment or a post on our Facebook page, facebook.com/kickcast. And I'd love it if you like the page too. I'm trying I want to break that 100 mark on likes. We also have a Twitter account at KickCast. You'll get all updates. I mean, if you were following us on Facebook or Twitter, you would have known Kickstarter got hacked within minutes of them posting out that blog post, and you could have gone and reset your passwords. Or on Google+, plus.kickcast.net. That will take you over there, all the fun stuff. And give us a subscribe if you're listening to us through iTunes or Stitcher or something. That always helps, and that's one thing that I always forget to tell people.
Subscribe.
And of course, you kind of heard us talking about the chat room and doing this live. We always do it live. Our next episode is in 2 weeks, which is in February something.
Is it still February?
Good, maybe it's March.
Dang it, things are going so fast, and I'm hoping that it's still. Nope, it's not. It's gonna be March the 4th, I believe.
Okay, it's March 4th. My phone died, so I couldn't look up the date.
Yeah, it's March 4th. Wow.
Yeah, so March Madness is going to start too. Get your brackets filled out. You can find that at live.kickcast.net. We usually start about 9 p.m. Mountain Time. I mean, I see Dito in there and Cousin Jane. They're watching out there talking about.
Jane,
she lives in Texas. Well, if we go down there, we'll have to meet up with her.
Yes.
On there, and if you've seen any of these projects and you're like, wait a minute, what was that URL for the podcast movement, or what was the URL for the backer kit, just head on over to kickcast.net, look in our show notes. They're all there. Again, make sure you guys check out Drew in the new podcast that's coming to the Ktdata network.
I've got a fresh new batch of folks that I'm working with, but I think I'm leaving a lot of the reins to them. But I think it's going to be fun. So the things we talk about, and if PlayStation anything is of interest to you, definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's great, and you can actually start seeing Drew slowly evolve into Bill Cosby as an old man. Just saying, man, Pokemon, and then
Pokemon. What is it?
But so guys, thank you for watching or listening or however you consume the show. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Consume away. Bye-bye.
Ready to go?
Almost.
Is this a bad time to say that you read like an old man?